Adventures.
Hey guys, it's Chuke here with Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. Well, I don't know what's going on this week with all the missing people, the bear attacks from the lower 48 to here in Alaska. It has just been an insane week. I did miss some of the stories. I got a handful of stories here, but there's so many stories coming in, I can't even keep up with them all. Thank you to all the viewers who are logging on to my website, emailing me, direct messaging me, and there is a function on my website where you can hit the contact button, send me a message. So I've got lots of great tips from Bryant Weber, Wayne Gordon, Tim G, Tim Kilpatrick, Matt Tower, Todd Harthorne, Jerry Brucus, Paul, Tom Christie, Rustall, and Dan Carlson, or Russell Diet. And then people I know like Frank the Tank and Beans Baxter are sending me stories too. But like I said, I cannot keep up with them. One of my favorite news organizations is the Cowboy State Daily because they actually support firearms. It seems to be, in my mind, unlike the mainstream media, which just is rabidly attacking firearms. But let's just jump into it. So the first article I have here is Federal Judge Halts Cattle Grazing in Grizzly Habitat near Yellowstone. Now, as we know, for the last 2 years that I've been doing this Friday morning series, there's just been all these bear attacks in Yellowstone, in the general area, even Wyoming and Montana, and it's just getting worse. And elk season really hasn't even started. I mean, fall is just barely here. Here in Alaska, it's big time fall. Winter's right around the corner, but you all in the lower 48 get a nice, long, hot fall before winter hits. Our fall just lasts a few minutes, and then it's just 7 months of winter. It's awful. But anyways, this says a federal judge's ruling Wednesday shut down cattle grazing in grizzly habitat in Montana's Paradise Valley. A Montana rancher says he wants grizzlies to be managed, not exterminated. So this is an interesting article. Donald Molloy, the district judge for the U.S. District Court, District of Montana, remanded the matter back to the Forest Service, ordering the agency to prepare a new analysis. The Forest Service previously failed to properly analyze effects that expanding grazing on 6 allotments would have on grizzlies. Therefore, the agency's initial analysis failed to meet the standards of the National Environmental Policy Act. Mingling grizzly populations. The grazing allotments in question are north of Yellowstone in the Absaroka Mountains, and we've talked about that area before, a few attacks there. Bear advocates say that's a key area for the intermingling of the lower 48's 2 largest grizzly populations. That includes the greater Yellowstone ecosystem grizzlies centered in Wyoming and the northern Continental Divide grizzly population centered in Glacier National Park. Both those areas have had attacks that I have covered in the last 2 years. Bear advocates argue that grizzlies won't be fully recovered until there's robust genetic exchange between these 2 populations. I don't know if that's a smart thing to do, which are estimated to include roughly 1,000 bears each. I disagree with that. They've counted 1,000 bears just in one peak area. However, others argue that the sheer number of bears exceed population recovery goals that were set after grizzlies in the lower 48 were placed under Endangered Species Act protection in the 1970s. That's a stance taken by the Montana Stock Growers Association. Executive Vice President Ray Honeycutt told Cowboy State Daily. She says stock growers were disappointed with Molly's decision. Grizzly bear populations, especially in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, are recovered and far exceeded recovery goals. I agree with that 100%. Cattle producers are losing grazing allotments because of this, even though the population is recovered and thriving, she added. Cattle grazing can disrupt grizzly recovery. The executive director of Western Watershed Project told Cowboy State Daily, that's Eric Mulver. The Western Watershed Project led a coalition of environmental groups that filed the lawsuit leading to Molloy's decision. Connectivity of the 2 main grizzly populations was specifically called out in the decision. One of the biggest difficulties that grizzly bear recovery faces is the lethal removal of bears every time there's a conflict with the livestock industry. There should be a more non-lethal management of grizzly cattle conflicts, he said. Nobody wants to see them exterminated. Ranching, many think conflict between grizzlies and ranchers could be better handled if the bears were delisted. I think they should be delisted. I think they should have more special hunts. And that's just my thoughts. I mean, you've watched my videos. I've interviewed some of the people that have said, yeah, there's a lot of grizzlies. We're seeing more and more every year. They're attacking people. So that just, it's a complex issue. I'm not an expert on Montana and Yellowstone and Wyoming. All I know is I've done a little research over the last 2 years, and I think the population is healthy and growing, and I think they should have a special hunt, which they do have some hunts in some areas. I think they need to increase that. So there's all these missing people. There's people missing in Alaska right now. We just had a guy die in Juneau hiking. It's just a dangerous time. I don't know what happened this year or this week. So here's another article. Hiker seriously hurt in bear attack near Yellowstone Lake. 29-year-old solo hiker sustained serious injuries after encountering a bear near the northeastern shore of Yellowstone Lake in Yellowstone National Park on Tuesday. It's Yellowstone's first human bear incident, resulting in injury since 2021. That's not true. I've covered a few. A 29-year-old solo hiker sustained serious injuries after encountering a bear near the northeastern shore of Yellowstone Lake on Tuesday. Let's see, according to Yellowstone officials, the incident occurred on the Turbid Lake Trail near the northeastern shore of Yellowstone Lake. The victim was hiking alone when he encountered the bear near Turbid Lake, 2.5 miles from the Pelican Valley trailhead. The bear attacked the man, injuring his chest and arm. The man was carrying bear spray but wasn't able to deploy it until after the bear had made contact with him. So if he had a firearm, he might not have been able to deploy that either in time. Sometimes just nothing will work. That it just runs at you, you're not prepared, and it's within seconds it's on you like a freight train. Once deployed, the bear spray drove the bear off, so it did work at that point. National Park Service medics responded to the scene, and the hiker was able to walk with them to waiting ambulance. After being taken to the lake medical clinic, the victim was flown to a nearby hospital. His current condition has not been disclosed, other than his injuries were serious but non-life-threatening. First in a while. Maybe it's the first where somebody got injured. I think that there's been some other ones, I swear. Maybe it was just, they took care of the bear with firearms, but I swear there's been some other attacks. It has been a busy year for bears, though. Yellowstone has had several bear-related incidents in 2025 that resulted in the lethal removal of 2 bears this season. In May, a male grizzly was killed after knocking over several bear-proof dumpsters and bear-resistant trash cans in several areas. April 3rd and May 13th. It was the first grizzly killed within the park since 2017. In July, a female black bear was killed after a series of concerning incidents at a backcountry campsite located in Black-tailed Deer Creek drainage. It was the first black bear to be put down by Yellowstone wildlife officials in 5 years. Season of danger. So bears are trying to fatten up. It's getting toward the end of their summer cycle. So go in groups. Doesn't say anything about firearms here in this article. Not surprised. Another article, Grizzly craws at yurt with people inside, comes back the next night. That's terrifying. A grizzly clawed at a yurt in the Crandall area of Park County where people were inside last week. The bear then came back the next night and really tore it up. Thankfully, it was then unoccupied. So some Park County residents who own remote vacation property have virtually no bear trouble there for more than 2 decades. That changed last week when a grizzly came onto their property 2 nights in a row. On the first night, the bear apparently clawed at a yurt with guests inside. On the second night, it ripped a huge hole of the then unoccupied structure. Nan Jackson O'Neill, who owns the property with her husband, said she heard that the same bear, likely an older female, had caused damage to neighboring properties and was later trapped by wildlife agents. So this is in Wyoming. The Wyoming Game and Fish Department confirmed that it has trapped and euthanized a bear in the area. On September 16th, Wyoming Game and Fish Department personnel responded to reports of grizzly bear frequently in the residential area. Bears seldom seen. I don't know about that. So that would be scary, sitting in a yurt and the bear's clawing, trying to get in. Now, this story, I don't think it's bear related, but a lot of people were sending me this. These hunters were reported missing, 2 elk hunters, and a massive search started in Colorado. So Ian Stasko and Andrew Porter were missing, and like Outdoor Life and a whole bunch of news agencies did this article, and then just later on the same day, both of them were found dead. So I don't know what's going on. So the original article said a huge search is underway in southern Colorado. So I used to live in Durango, that's in southern Colorado, where 2 non-resident elk hunters in their mid-20s have been missing for several days. They've been out of electronic communication since Thursday. Multiple agencies were looking for them. So Andrew Porter is from North Carolina and Ian Stasko of Salt Lake City, Utah. They left their vehicle at the Rio de los Pinos trailhead near the New Mexico state line, with much of their gear, including camping equipment and packs, still in it. 2 25-year-olds are both 6 feet tall and physically fit, and they were both outdoorsmen, pretty experienced outdoorsmen. So hunting gear and clothing, no firearms. This is weird. I wonder if they were bow hunters. So that was the original article. And then here is the article that came out just a few hours later. I don't know. Oh, they were elk hunters. They'd been missing, and the family confirmed that they were dead. So they failed to check in with their family at the predetermined time. So, Connie Rissy of the Conejos County Sheriff's Department confirmed to Outside that the 2 male bodies had been recovered from the area. At the time, they were unidentified. So it's a current investigation. They didn't have any more details. So both were originally from Virginia. So this is a mystery. So they had spotted a large bull and were heading back to track the bull. See if it says what happened. The men's car was apparently moved. I wonder if there's foul play. So the disappearance kicked off a major operation. They are experienced hunters. So all the gear they needed to hunt, harvest, or pack out an elk were found in the vehicle. They had gone back out to hunt. Okay, they were bow hunters. So they didn't find his bow, butchering knives, game bags, or binoculars, things he would take to go out. Wow. So we don't know if that was a bear or what. So this is an ongoing story. I will have an update for that, but that is terrifying, guys. So one thing that I suggest you always bring, and I know some old timers don't like these, but this is what I started bringing. This is my OnReach satellite messenger. You get a monthly plan. The price has gone down on them. You can get a basic plan for not much, and you can send preset messages. So I use this a lot, even in the wintertime, sometimes when I'm out on expeditions. But several hunting trips I went on this year, this was really nice to contact family and friends. So it's something I use. Bear spray, of course. You know, one of these articles, the bear spray works. I say use both. So bear spray and firearms, but as you guys know, I tend to lean towards firearms more. Now, this is a just-in-case holster. Check out my code Chukes on justincaseholsters.com, get 15% off, but he does these handmade leather holsters, small business, a veteran, and I've got my massive revolver. This is the Ruger Toklat in .454 Casull. Now, this thing It has a 5-inch barrel. I'm just getting crazy power out of it. The recoil isn't too bad, but it's definitely more power than a 44 Magnum and a little more recoil than a 44 Magnum, but not much. So even Chuck from Alaska Ballistics says this is the best bear defense revolver you can get because you're getting a lot of power out of the 5-inch barrel, and with the weight and the round, the recoil isn't too bad. So it's manageable. And of course I have the 10 millimeter and the 460 Roland. I go back and forth with what I want to carry, but sometimes if I know I'm going to be around really big bears, I'll just take this. I may only get 1-2 shots if I'm lucky, but if your aim is good, that's all you need is 1 from this. And some of the stories that I've gone over, the 454 Casull absolutely has done the job. Even though a rifle or a shotgun is better, sometimes all we have is pistols. So thank you for tuning in. I will do an update once I find out more information about this sad case. But stay safe out there, guys. Take a firearm and take a messenger so you can message your loved ones. So thanks for tuning in. It's Chuke, your friend in the field.
My name is Chuke. I like to trade my guns just for fun, but now I have none. Oh, look, get shot by a bear, but I don't care. I got a 10 millimeter. Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. Watch you go outside.